Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Rainbow Six Siege video made by yours truly. You know, with the recent semi-announcement of Overwatch 2 and seeing everything new that they're going to implement into that sequel got me thinking, what are some things I would want if Ubisoft were to release a Rainbow Six Siege 2? And yet, after many days of pondering different ideas in my head for what they could do, I've come up with 5 things I'd like to see in a Siege 2. Even if we're not going to see a sequel, it's still a fun concept to do. With that short intro out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
I called you here today because we face dire circumstances. Our intelligence has confirmed the existence of a new threat that is unlike any we have seen before.
Starting off with the list, number 1, a story mode. The lack of a story mode was one of the biggest critiques a lot of people said about the game when it came out in 2015. Which to me is really stupid because these same people also gave Overwatch a pass and praised that game, but nevertheless, this game is just begging for a single player mode where you hunt down global terrorists, and we even got cutscenes from this game showing us how the story would play out. And not to mention, this game has Tom Clancy in the title, so it's based off a book that came out a long time ago about how different countries came together to form up a multinational counterterrorism unit to be able to deal with the rise of terrorist attacks. So we have the foundation already laid out for what they could do with the story. We also got the characters in the book that work within the SAS, GSG, the SEALs, and much more that the video games also contain. So all they gotta really do is copy and paste Jaeger and maybe a smoke into the story, and bang, that's all you have to do. A solid single player story that could rival those big summer blockbuster Mission Impossible or 007 movies. I think the game would probably work best if each level involved storming into buildings and being able to be a team leader of 3 to 4 guys that you can customize as your personal squad. Perhaps something along the lines of the XCOM series where you can assign a sniper, a heartbeater, and anything else that you can think of that works best for your playstyle. Not to mention you can also name them different operators and other stuff like that. But I haven't actually played the original Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege games, so I might just be describing those single player games, but I'm just kind of going off of what I think they could do. This edition for me personally is the most requested on this list, as the videos they've been putting out with the operators on YouTube have really make me wanting to have this game have a story of some kind. So if there ever were to be a sequel, I definitely do think they should add a story mode to it. And if Overwatch is going to do it, I definitely think Siege can do it. Just stop making an anime. Man, I really wish I could still play Outbreak. I know it was on the same level of polish like Left 4 Dead 2, but it still had some very interesting ideas, and I love anything with zombies in it. But for some reason, Ubisoft wants to keep these limited time events to, well, limited time events. But why? It's not like there's a specific licensing issue that it could be hindering them to only allow players to play for a short amount of time, so you know, something like Fortnite having Star Wars in it is probably a nightmare with licensing, but all the game modes are of Ubisoft Montreal's making, so what gives? Some of the game modes are absolute standouts, and I think it could help prolong the game even more because it could help break up long sessions of ranked matches or playing the regular multiplayer, and instead just unwind and play Outbreak or Showdown for a game or two. No one really plays the terrorist hunt after a month or two of owning the game, but these other events like the PvE and PvP gameplay add more to the overall package and couldn't hurt the game to keep them in forever. And on the topic of terrorist hunt, or training grounds as it's now called, I wish I could present a way of making it more interesting for the future, but I mean there's not much to add to the mode that could have make more people come back to it really. People play Siege for the PvP primarily, and from what I hear online, most people who do play Training Grounds primarily use it to warm up before jumping into PvP. I think without a gimmick or a completely different experience like how Outbreak handled it, I think it'll just remain how it is. If anything, maybe re-release them throughout the year, or so we could play Outbreak during Halloween, and the others made available also during other holidays or specific times of the year. Just anything to bring them back so I can play them again. Number 3, no season pass. Okay, now it's time for more controversial things I think Siege should strive to do. I already discussed it a little bit in my What Rainbow Six Siege should do for 2020 and beyond video, but let me reiterate because I hope Ubisoft Montreal finally implements this feature very soon, which is to get rid of the season pass. The reason why I'm so strongly for this idea is because of the huge amount of cost it has on new fans trying to get into the scene, but get scared away by all the money it will cost in order to even get all the characters. They do try and curb this issue by having sales of the game quite frequently, but this is just putting Band-Aid to an issue that I think Ubisoft will have to address within the next year or two. The Season Pass idea in general, I think, is something that should have been done away with, not only because I don't like forking out additional money for an already expensive game at launch, but because it's just not as marketable as something that offers new content to a game for free. Take Call of Duty for instance. Never in a million years would I have imagined I would actually see a day in which a new COD game is released without a Season Pass. But here we are, and Modern Warfare eliminated their Season Pass and instead made most of its content for free to the public, with the biggest release being a new Battle Royale mode, Warzone. It's something that Activision decided to do probably because it saw as a better investment in trying to preserve its player base and entice new people to join without having to divide its player base from paid DLC. Not to mention, they probably saw a better way of milking people out of their money than an egregious $50 season pass, which was cosmetics. Cosmetics are an easy way to go about in trying to create money for your game because it's the best of both worlds kind of dilemma. People who just want to play the game and don't care about the looks of their guns or outfits will go about their business still engaging in the community, but other people will go out of their way and buy it. Perhaps even enticing people who don't usually care for that sort of thing and make them want to have it as well. I know I hated cosmetic DLC for a long time until they started rolling out the legendary skins for their operators. I still haven't purchased one because it's a bit overpriced, but damn, have I not been tempted numerous times whenever I see someone rock it out. And I'm sure once they make something super up my alley, I will be the first one to go and buy it. Please give me that Montang Elite skin, please. I love each revealed trailer of new operators entering the game, but I'll be damned if sometimes they come out and I'm just completely disappointed at what I actually get. Especially last year with the debacle of operators like Warren and Nock, who don't have any new guns at their disposal while also containing pretty near useless abilities. I think with some fine tuning they can definitely turn these operators around and make them extremely versatile and dependable teammates, but it also just goes to show you how much time constraint Ubisoft Montreal is going through to crank out these operators for season pass holders. They gotta keep them coming every 3 to 4 months, and if they were able to eliminate them entirely, this would help alleviate the pressure and give more time to the developers. Spacing out the schedule of things could give them more time to focus on fixing previous characters that desperately needed, like Clash, or rearrange map designs to eliminate unfair advantages, and just generally clean up glitches and bugs that plague the game after every new update. Games like Overwatch excel in keeping up with new content for people, as they aren't consistently in a race to appease season pass holders and can instead expertly craft new maps, modes, and characters into the game without completely unbalancing the whole Pro League community or being absolutely useless operators. Theoretically speaking, this could also be good for making your game consistently relevant throughout a longer period of time, because you could probably work on major things one at a time with much more rapid succession than splitting up everything to a handful of people. Quality over quantity is always the go-to thing I look for when it comes to my video games, and I hope Ubisoft will realize that before it's too late. However, there is still one more thing I think Siege could do for its base game or a hypothetical sequel, which is... get rid of Renown. Replace it instead with just currency. Be upfront with how much you want to charge with cosmetics, but please, if they could do at least one thing, aside from the season pass, it would be to make the operators free. I think this is by far the most backward, asinine way of getting new players to play or getting older ones to keep playing. I do bring up Overwatch a lot, but that's because they have the business model that I wish Siege had for its game and would want for a sequel. Having the characters behind a wall for any kind of game that's been going on for nearly 5 years is just really annoying. I have forked out in combined revenue of this game nearly $200 plus tax for characters alone, which was something I had no issue at first for year 1 and 2 and maybe even 3, but for 4 and 5 to me it just kind of got outrageous at that point, because now it tells me that Ubisoft just wants this system to stay in place to milk fans for everything they have, which is annoying because it's also making hand over fist for its cosmetic DLCs. I don't mind cosmetics because it doesn't affect the gameplay, aside from Alibi, but also because games like Overwatch also depend on this to make money, because they choose to not have a season pass and instead pace out releases of new characters and maps incrementally throughout the years since release. If COD can take out their season pass and instead focus on making revenue from things that don't affect its gameplay, then I think Siege should do the same to stay afloat from all the other multiplayer games that are available out there. It could also be good for new players to hop into things so they could freely go about and try out character after character until they finally find someone they like to play with, which could then theoretically bring up a lot more newer players to the game that might have been turned away from the paywall of characters to unlock that continues to just get bigger and bigger each year. I've had plenty of friends that have wanting to get into this game and then they don't because of the paywall that is there. It's just upfront, especially when you go when they have sales on like Rainbow Six Siege and stuff. You can see the paywall difference, like the deluxe edition, standard edition, the ultimate gold edition, or whatever they have there. And I have to explain to them what each edition brings, what each edition doesn't have, and that's just really annoying to me. And without that, without having to deal with that sort of circumstance when I'm explaining to other friends, I think would greatly help Siege and not hurt it in the long run. Hi, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed what I made, and please feel free to leave a like and perhaps subscribe if you want to see more. It goes a long way with encouraging me to keep making more videos by seeing actual feedback from real people. Also, please feel free to comment down below on discussing a topic you'd like me to bring up within Siege or with video games in general, because I sure do love learning and talking about things I just learned. And I also want to thank Julie and Belize for helping me create the Business Scopes character and artwork, because without them I wouldn't be here. So please go and support the work on Instagram and Patreon. Their links will be down in the description. Also, be on the lookout for a podcast show done by yours truly that should be up within the next month or so. So that will just be discussing video games and video game news and topics of interest with myself and my close friends. I hope you ladies and gentlemen stay safe out there, and I hope you all have a fantastic night or morning or whatever time zone it is for you, and take care of yourselves.